Good afternoon. Today I'm just going to give you some feedback on the research proposal that we have submitted earlier. This is just an additional input that I'm going to make using this video clip. I'd like to talk on to the how to make your research question more specific, more researchable, more doable, more outcome based. So in order to see this, I will start with do I have a good questions. So if every one of you think about do I have the good questions, how do I know that I have a good question? So in order to have a good questions, what you have to think about yourself is you need to think about the how to choose a good questions. So to start with, we need to think about one questions that is burning issue around. For example, today people widely use these social media as a platform for communicating. So advantage and disadvantage, how are they affecting the society? It's just a big question. So start with the broad questions and think about what is happening around us. So just think about such kind of questions. Then you can think about reading about that topic. Not that only thinking about that topic, but start reading about that topic, and then what has happened, how the people have responded, and what people are talking about, and then go on to some of the literatures, find out about it and read it, and then understand it more in depth of it. Now once you have understood the topic, then try to narrow down the scope of the questions. Now for example, just talking about the social media, that is too broad. So what you have to do is you need to bring your research question narrow down to whom this the social media is impacting, which group, how are they impacting. So you will have to narrow down specific, try to be more specific to try to see which groups are getting influenced. All right. The fourth one is identify the research problem. Now if you are thinking of a particular group, how are the media is impacting this group. Now taking the questions into our field in education, then we should think about, is my teaching good, why it is good, and if it is a good, what have I done it. So how can I improve, if it is a big question. If you think about how can I improve, then you may be thinking about how can I improve, what should I do it, and then maybe you might also think about which groups are getting impacted, and then how this little research will help to my children to overcome some of the problem. So that's how you should think about the questions, and start writing down and reframe it, that questions again, write it, rewrite it, because many of you have written broad questions, like for example, how do I help my students to improve their English using a debate strategy. A debate is a big strategy, fine. If you want to improve, which group are you talking about? Class 9, 10, 12, PP. So be specific to particular group. And if you're thinking about the strategy, be very clear about know about what is strategy, how does that strategy help our students. So very careful, please mention specific group, specific strategies in your questions. All right, while doing this, the good quality questions have the following features. Good quality questions, your good research questions will have the following characteristics. Okay, number one, your questions would be very focused to particular groups, smaller groups. Researchable, meaning it should be doable, it should be repeatable, and your finding can be done even later. So it is not only the you who can find out that particular research. If somebody wants to do in a similar manner, can be able to should be able to do it again. So should be repeatable, okay, right? And feasible, your research can be, should work in the place where you are proposing. It should be uh, it should be doable at that particular schools, in the classrooms. So you must have mentioned in your proposal the particular group of students that you want to use your research questions to find out the data. Specific specificity. Your questions must be very specific to the group, specific to the time. You know, you cannot go on changing your questions depending on the nature of time. So it should be more very try to be more specific. Complex. Now your question is of course planned for a single problem, but however it should be able to address many more questions associated around that problem. Then finally, relevant. It should be, your question must be relevant to the day-to-day activities. For example, you and I are doing a research. This research is not for someone. Research for you and I, and it should help all of us. So it should be, the something which is very useful to our day-to-day life. So, do our research questions brings a solution to the present problem? So these are the some of the 6 different characteristics of a good research questions. So you need to think about how is your questions and make a change accordingly. Now, aims and objective. When you are writing an aims and objective, careful. Many of you are not in line. Why are you doing a research? Is the first aim. You have I have a certain aim to do a research. So what are you expecting out of your research? Then when you are writing objective, list down all the possible solutions. When I say here is a possible solution, while writing my objective, at the end of my objective I will be able to do this, and by the end of the objective I should be able to address the need of my students, need of my teachers. I would like to improve the performance of my students. I like to change the behavior of my students. Are some of the expected answer out of your questions? That must be listed down in your objectives. Be specific addressing the problems, and your objective should be also there, very neatly focused, saying that it will help in the educating our young group of students, and which is applicable to across in the education system. So it will address small problems across all the academic world. So I have just made a brief video. I think I'll not prolong much, but now what is the expected out of this video is read at least 2 more articles about your proposal, and cite these new articles, and please mark them rate. In your proposal, read 2 articles, cite these 2 articles, and write down their references very neatly and mark them rate. Alright, please mark them rate. That's very important. So now I will continue a next discussion on the introduction to how to write introductions and how to write literature review. Of course, this is not very new, but what I am doing is now I'm trying to revise so that your proposal becomes better and well refined. Thank you, and good night.